What's up guys and welcome back to my channel. RDR's coach has finally broken his silence following his fighter's recent UFC loss. It was a tough night for RDR, whose climb up the UFC middleweight rankings came to a sudden halt on Saturday. His coach, Harun Oskan, made the difficult decision to throw in the towel after the fourth round of the fight against Brendan Allen. The stoppage wasn't a total surprise to those watching, as RDR appeared completely gassed and unable to recover from the earlier damage he'd taken. Following the fight, Harun Oskan took to Instagram to share an emotional statement, explaining his decision to stop the fight. He began by addressing friends, fans, and supporters, saying that he normally doesn't share personal matters publicly, but felt that this time he owed everyone an explanation. He thanked everyone for the incredible support and admitted that the year had been both busy and unpredictable. He explained that while the fight started well for RDR in the first round, things quickly began to fade after the second, and the damage became too much to ignore. Oskan stated that he made the call to stop the fight after the fourth round, taking full responsibility for that decision. He emphasized that it was not something he ever wanted to do, but believed it was the right choice in the moment. As a coach, he said his duty isn't only to train a fighter to win, but also to protect their health. Having been with RDR for almost his entire career, Oskan explained that he had seen enough warning signs to know that his fighter was in danger of taking unnecessary damage. He revealed that RDR would have continued fighting if he hadn't stepped in, but he simply couldn't allow that. Instead, he chose to end the bout early so they could go home healthy and live to fight another day. Oskan made it clear that he doesn't care about outside opinions or criticism when a fighter's well-being is at stake. In his words, there's a fine line between being tough and being reckless with one's health. This sport can be brutal, and these athletes sacrifice a huge part of their lives both inside and outside the cage. He reminded fans that fighters are human too, and there's no need for excess damage when it can be avoided. Oskan refused to make excuses for the loss, saying they knew exactly what they were getting into, but simply didn't deliver the performance they wanted. For now, he said, it's time to focus on recovery, reevaluate a few things, and come back stronger next year. He ended his statement by expressing gratitude for the journey so far, saying that despite the setbacks, it has been an amazing year filled with lessons, highs, and lows. Oskan closed by telling RDR that he's proud of him and that they've come a long way together. He thanked everyone once again for their continued support and wished them all a wonderful day. Signing off with all love, Coach Harun. And before we continue, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to help support the channel. Moving on to another news, Tom Aspinall has made it clear that he wants to be an active and defending champion. It's been well over a year since Aspinall last stepped into the octagon, but with his next fight just around the corner, the heavyweight champ seems eager to stay busy and keep fighting regularly. Aspinall is set to face Cyril Gane in the main event of UFC 321, taking place on October 25th in Abu Dhabi. This will be Aspinall's first fight since July 2024, when he made quick work of Curtis Blaydes with a dominant finish. It also marks his first defense as the undisputed heavyweight champion, after John Jones vacated the belt during what turned out to be a very short-lived retirement. Recently, the UFC released a video featuring Aspinall, where he spoke about his desire to stay active and keep the division moving. He explained that he's always been in the gym, but having a clear goal and an opponent in front of him feels great. Aspinall said he wants to be the kind of champion who fights often, takes on the best contenders, and doesn't spend long stretches out of action. He emphasized that the time away from competition wasn't by choice, and that he's ready to change that narrative. His goal now is to defend his title regularly, stay active, and continue proving why he's the top heavyweight in the world. When talking specifically about Cyril Gane, Aspinall showed respect but also confidence. He said that Gane is the #1 contender, and as the champion, it's his job to fight the best available opponent. In his words, that's exactly what a true champion should do, face the top contender and find out who the best man really is. Aspinall praised Gane's unique style, describing him as a very skilled and unpredictable opponent, unlike anyone he has faced before. But he also made it clear that the feeling is mutual. Gane has never faced anyone quite like him either, with his technical striking, strong wrestling base, and explosive speed for his size. Aspinall believes he can match up well against anyone in the division. His mindset going into this fight is focused and hungry. He doesn't want to sit on the sidelines or hold up the division. Instead, he wants to keep the belt active, keep fans entertained, and continue adding big names to his record. For Tom Aspinall, being the heavyweight champion isn't just about having the title, it's about defending it, staying ready, and proving himself time and time again inside the octagon. Moving on to another news, the MMA community is speaking out and demanding major changes to the UFC's rules and regulations. Fans and fighters alike have been voicing their frustrations about issues such as weight cutting, rehydration policies, grounded strikes, point deductions, and judging inconsistencies. Across social media, people have been sharing their ideas for how the sport could evolve, calling for updates that would make MMA safer, fairer, and more exciting. One of the most popular suggestions is that all fights should be 5 rounds, with rounds 4 and 5 being worth with double points to encourage endurance and late fight comebacks. Others proposed holding weigh-ins during fighter walkouts, effectively eliminating extreme weight cutting since athletes would have to compete at their true, hydrated weight. Another hot topic is the restriction on strikes to grounded opponents. Many fans argued that knees and kicks to grounded fighters should be legalized, with some pointing out how much more dynamic and realistic fights could be. They mentioned that fighters like Charles and Merab would be even more dangerous if such techniques were allowed. A large number of fans also called for scrapping the outdated 10-point must system entirely. Instead of scoring round by round, they believe judges should score the entire fight as a whole. Many feel the current scoring system fails to capture momentum shifts and late finishes, while others think automatic point deductions for fouls would hold fighters more accountable. Under these proposed changes, the first and only warning would be given backstage in the locker room. Any cage grab, eye poke, or low blow would immediately result in a deducted point. There were even more radical ideas, like allowing soccer kicks and knees to the head of grounded opponents. Some fans also suggested removing rounds altogether and simply letting fighters go 15 or 25 minutes straight, scoring the entire contest based on overall dominance. Others wanted specific technical updates, such as counting mat returns separately from takedowns, or resetting positions based on fighter choice, whether that's in open space, in the clinch, or on the ground. Another key demand was for increased accountability among referees and judges. Fans proposed that commissions should appoint one spokesperson after each event to address controversial calls publicly, explaining the reasoning behind each decision. There were also calls for commissions to release official post-fight reports that analyze scoring and officiating, similar to how the NBA releases officiating reviews. These reports could correct errors, offer retractions, or help speed up the appeals process for fighters who feel they were wronged. Weight cutting was another major concern. Many people believe fighters who miss weight should start the fight with an automatic point deduction. Others argued that if a fight ends due to an injury that wasn't caused by a clear legal strike, it should be ruled a no contest instead of a loss. Examples like Tom Aspinall versus Curtis Blades and Brian Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez were mentioned, where injuries changed the outcomes, but the losing fighters still had the defeats recorded. Overall, the message from the MMA community is clear. The sport is constantly evolving, and many fans believe it's time for the UFC's rules to evolve with it. Moving on to another news, Mike Malott has spoken out following a controversial moment during his UFC fight against Kevin Holland. The bout, which took place at UFC Vancouver, was one of the biggest wins of Malott's career so far, but much of the post-fight conversation wasn't about the victory itself. Instead, it centered around the low blows that Holland appeared to take during the fight. Malott later addressed the situation and gave his perspective on what really happened. If you watched the fight, you probably noticed that the action was stopped twice in the opening round due to what the referee called low blows. After the second one, Holland looked visibly hurt and seemed unsure if he could continue. He ended up taking the full 5 minutes allowed to recover, while the break between rounds lasted even longer than usual as officials discussed the incident. During that time, Malott signaled that his second knee strike had actually landed above the groin, hitting Holland on the hip. The crowd, however, wasn't buying it, and the arena erupted in boos as the replays played on the big screen. Speaking to the media afterward, Malott admitted that while he believed the knee connected above the belt line, there's a good chance part of his leg still caught Holland where it hurts most. "Maybe I'm crazy, but my knee hit him in the hip, right above the belt line," Malott said. "He's just so tall. The dude is all limbs, and his hips are so high it's hard to get that knee up clean. I'm sure my shin did hit him in the groin, and I bet it hurt. I don't think he was being dramatic. I'm sure it was bugging him. It was a bit of an odd one, but those things happen. You can't control it. You just have to reset, refocus, and get back into the fight." Despite the controversy, Malott managed to keep his composure and go on to win the bout, extending his winning streak to 3 straight victories. He's now 4-1 in his last 5 fights, showing steady progress in one of the UFC's toughest divisions. Holland, on the other hand, didn't take the loss lightly. After the fight, he took to social media and posted several emotional messages, admitting frustration with his performance. In one of his more lighthearted posts, he joked, saying, "Bro kicked the STD into me, my nuts hurt." While the debate over whether the shots were truly low continues among fans, the official result stands, and Mike Malott's stock continues to rise as he cements himself as a dangerous and determined contender. Moving on to another news, Alex Volkanovski has once again become the center of attention in the MMA world. His name is now being linked to another massive storyline involving UFC bantamweight champion Merab and his coach John Wood. According to Wood, Merab could eventually make the move up to featherweight in pursuit of a second world title. While he made it clear that this won't happen immediately, he hinted that after 3 or 4 more fights at 135, the discussion about moving up will get serious. Wood explained that making the bantamweight limit is becoming increasingly difficult for Merab. The Georgian warrior is known for his relentless pace and endless cardio, but the weight cut is taking a toll. Wood said Merab absolutely hates the process of cutting weight, yet moving up to 145 wouldn't exactly be easy either. He'd have to manage his size carefully to remain fast and competitive against naturally bigger fighters at featherweight. Still, with the way Merab keeps dominating his division, it's hard not to imagine some massive super fight opportunities in his future if he decides to chase double champ status. Meanwhile, the conversation around the featherweight division took another turn when Islam Makhachev's coach, Javier Mendez, shared his thoughts on who should fight Volkanovski next. Mendez believes that Movsar Evloev has done more than enough to earn a title shot. He praised Movsar's consistency and technical skill, calling him the most deserving contender in the division right now. However, he also admitted that the UFC doesn't seem too eager to book that matchup because Movsar's fighting style isn't exactly fan-friendly. According to Mendez, Movsar has been patiently waiting, doing everything right, yet keeps getting passed over simply because he's not seen as a big draw. Mendez pointed out the irony in the UFC giving fighters like Sean O'Malley quick title shots after lackluster performances, while Movsar continues to be overlooked. He said, "Look at Movsar. He's done everything right, but he's being skipped because the UFC doesn't think people want to see him fight. Even though, in my opinion, he's number one and deserves the opportunity." He added that it all comes down to marketability, timing, and who's hot in the moment. The coach also reflected on how recent losses have affected Volkanovski's star power, saying that after back-to-back defeats, the Aussie might need to take a step back before returning to the title picture. He mentioned that the UFC is always focused on who can bring the most attention, not just who's earned their shot. With Merab's possible move to 145 and Movsar's ongoing push for recognition, the featherweight division could be heading toward a major shakeup. Moving on to another news, Islam Makhachev appears to be entering UFC 322 with multiple game plans, prepared for his upcoming showdown against JDM. Many fans and analysts believe Islam will be pushing hard for takedowns when the two meet inside the octagon, but new comments from his teammate Umar Nurmagomedov have suggested that there's much more to Islam's approach than just wrestling. With JDM's sharp striking, impressive boxing, and clear reach advantage, most people have been labeling this as a classic striker versus grappler matchup. However, Islam's well-rounded skill set might make this fight far more unpredictable than fans expect. Umar, who has been training alongside Islam throughout his camp, recently spoke with MMA Junkie and revealed that Islam isn't sticking to one specific strategy. Instead, he is prepared for every possible scenario. Umar explained that Islam is in incredible shape and that he's one of the smartest fighters he knows. According to him, Islam doesn't just rely on a single plan. He's ready with plan A, B, C, and practically the entire alphabet. If one strategy doesn't work, he immediately shifts to the next without hesitation. Umar praised Islam's adaptability, calling him an amazing fighter and an even better friend, and confidently stated that he truly believes Islam will win the fight and deserves the belt. It's important to remember that Islam isn't just a grappling specialist anymore. Over the years, he's developed dangerous striking, slick transitions, and the ability to control the pace of a fight wherever it goes. While many opponents expect him to shoot for takedowns, Islam has often surprised them with his composure on the feet and ability to mix things up seamlessly. His fight IQ allows him to make quick adjustments in real time, and that might be the key to neutralizing JDM's aggressive stand-up game. The MMA world is also eager to see how Islam performs at welterweight. This will mark a new chapter in his career, moving up from lightweight, where he dominated the division and claimed championship gold. Fans and analysts have been closely observing his physique as he adjusts to the higher weight class. Recent photos of Islam, including one of him alongside Usmanov and Alistair Overeem, have been circulating online, sparking even more discussion about how he looks ahead of the big fight. All eyes will be on Islam as he steps into the cage at UFC 322. Whether he chooses to wrestle, strike, or blend both seamlessly, one thing is certain: Islam Makhachev is coming in with a full arsenal of strategies, prepared for every possible situation. His confidence, intelligence, and complete preparation could make all the difference when he faces JDM on fight night. Moving on to another news, Khamzat confronted Petr Yan over his recent controversial comments, sparking tension between the two former training partners. Just weeks after Khamzat's dominant title win, things took a personal turn when Yan publicly questioned his national identity. It all began when Petr congratulated Khamzat on winning the UFC belt, but later said he doesn't consider him a Russian champion since Khamzat now fights under the UAE flag after gaining citizenship earlier this year in January 2025. That remark didn't sit well with Khamzat, especially coming from someone he's known and trained alongside in the past. Speaking to Alan Bekbadev, Khamzat made it clear that he's proud to be Russian. He reminded everyone that he grew up in Russia, built gyms there, supported young athletes, and has always contributed to his homeland. He emphasized that despite holding UAE citizenship, his heart and loyalty remain with Russia, and that he's done nothing comparable for the UAE other than representing them professionally. In his response, Khamzat also took a sharp jab at Yan, pointing out the irony of someone with a Chinese-sounding last name questioning a Chechen's Russian roots. That statement quickly went viral online and added even more fuel to the fire. The tension only grew when Yan's manager, Sayat, confirmed during an interview with Ushadeka that Khamzat and Petr had actually confronted each other face-to-face. According to Sayat, the two exchanged some serious words in private about the issue. He didn't go into full detail but said the confrontation was intense and that both fighters made their feelings very clear. Sayat revealed that they might meet again soon, hinting at unfinished business between the two, though it remains uncertain whether that means a personal conversation or something more public. The situation has drawn massive attention across the MMA community, with fans split over who was right. Some believe Yan's comments were unnecessary and disrespectful, while others think Khamzat overreacted. Either way, it's clear the tension between the two fighters has reached a boiling point, and their next encounter could be explosive. That's it from MMA Clash Daily.